Hey guys, and welcome back to Cultured Boys, a show where two guys just want to have a chat. I'm Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by Pepe. And this week, we're doing another Just Chatting.
Yay.
no,
Chatting.
no topic, no anything, just the stream of consciousness.
Yeah. I mean, it could go two ways. It's going to be either really freaking stupid, like retro gaming stuff like we did last time, or it's going to be some fucking deep chat. Who knows what you're getting with these things? I certainly don't.
We don't right now whilst we're
Nah.
recording, but you'll know depending on the title.
Yay. Oh, God.
I wonder if people have noticed that.
I don't know. I feel like when it comes to these things, it's just like, yeah, let's just talk, see where it goes, and hope. Like,
Well,
we know what happens. We know what happens with these things. I don't know how other people feel about going into it just chatting, because obviously, I think the last time we did one of these, it was just called the 100th episode, weren't it? So
yeah.
you didn't exactly know what you were going into with that if you did watch it.
Well, I mean, like, just in general, when we title these,
Yeah.
because we always start the recordings like of the just chatting, like, oh, it's just chatting. But you know, like you and I know, and I don't know if other people know, but like if it turns into something deep, that's when it goes under the moniker like behind the chatter.
Like the title obviously gives it away with those kind of things. Like the last episode, we titled it 100th episode. It had very little to do with our actual 100th episode kind of thing. It was more just talking, like about random, like retro stuff and like all puzzle games and stuff. But like the others, those came with like an actual, like a good majority of the second or third one. I can't remember exactly which one. It was like one of them was about mental health and like looking after
That
yourself.
was the
a bit
second
more.
one, I think.
That was
The first one was like
no, the first one was when I returned. The first one was when I returned.
Oh right, sorry, I forgot
yeah.
that even counts
And
as
then
one.
the second one was about being introverted. Then the third one was about the mental health. And then the fourth was just puzzle games and other retro stuff. That's a little recap of the just chat so far. But yeah, nah.
Fair. I mean, I was just trying to remember, like, has it only actually been like 4 of these? I feel like it's been more, but
I
fair.
mean, to be fair, we've been roughly doing these. It's coming up to about a year now, because I think we released our first just chatting probably in June, July. I remember.
Well, I don't know.
This.
When did you come back from America?
That is
last
it.
time?
It would have been June, end of June.
Yeah, because I remember that one being like, "Welcome back," because you'd been you'd been overseas.
Yeah, I literally, and funny enough, like it's doing this record, I literally came back from America again. Literally just about a week ago. This time last week I was getting ready to fly back again, and luckily I did have my passport this time. So
I was gonna say,
yeah,
with 100% less tragedy.
Yes. Oh my god, that's the one thing about it. It's just like when I travel now, I'm keeping an eye on my passport 24/7.
I think everybody's reminding you as well. Like there was not a moment.
Everyone, yes, it is.
I
It's a
did.
daily
I wanted
reminder.
to.
Like,
I wanted to, but I was like, nah, he's probably hearing it enough. He doesn't
absolutely.
need an extra voice.
I appreciate you not reminding me, because Lord help me, there was a fair few amount of people that were reminding me, like almost on a daily basis, and I was like, yes, I get it. I lost it. It's fine. I appreciate everyone being worried about me. It's always good to have people being worried about me.
When you were going,
Yes.
that was the only thing I was gonna say, and then I thought, no, I'll just leave it. I can guarantee you, there's gonna be like 101 messages like, don't forget.
I'm a very self-deprecating human being. I'm very much of a person that I'll be like, oh, better not lose my passport again, and like making fun of myself in certain ways. And I'm fine with that. But it's when I realized I said this too much. I said this way too much, and it occurred to me when, not like, I said it in real life quite a few times, but on my social media, I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep it low key. I'm not gonna be bragging about losing my passport again, because, oh no, touch wood, it's gonna happen again. So I didn't really talk about it. And then literally every post I was like, oh, going back to America, it's like, don't lose your passport again. I'm like, yes, no. And it is like, it's quite funny the first few times. Then you're like, ah, shit. Okay, no, everyone's really getting in on this. Everyone's in on the joke now. Everyone. No, look,
Well,
I'm a victim of my own humor and I don't know, my actions. Let's put it that way. I, just to like reaffirm this, I'm not pissed off that people reminded me of this. I thought it is quite funny, but it's just like it's the constant reminder of, oh yeah, he did that
well,
thing.
it's not that you're pissed off. It just
No,
becomes
no.
like tiresome
It's not even
rather than
it's
anything.
not tired. It's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's one of those ones.
Well, I
I'm
mean, like, I
fine.
don't mean tiresome in a bad way, but like it just starts become a bit like fatiguing, in it. Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In some minor, in the mildest, it's the nicest way. Like I appreciate everyone jumping on the joke, and I do appreciate everyone that does actually look out for me. So I don't want to be sitting here and sound like I'm pissed off with people caring about me. I'm not that kind of human being. Let's put it that way.
Well, it depends
But
on how
yes.
many more times people tell you don't forget your
Yeah.
passport.
I mean, I'm not traveling anywhere abroad for the rest of the year because I have no money to. I have no holiday at work to, so I'm not going anywhere now. This is me. The only time I'm going to be traveling is like to London and back. I've got a fair few different gigs coming up this year that I'm going to see, which I'm excited about. Uh,
Yes, and
uh,
one I'm excited about.
yes, exactly. That'd be good. There's basically, well, no, it's one of those ones, right? Like, do we talk about what gig we're seeing? Because it's like, I don't know.
I understand what you mean. I kind of want to say it, but I also don't.
Yeah,
Where it's like nobody knows. We're so small, and like nobody knows who we are. But at the same time, what what if somebody did listen and they just recognize the voice? Do you know what I mean?
that's a
Like it's like
very minor thing to happen. Like,
it is, but it's not
the
that it's
chances of
out
it
of the realm of
happening.
possibility.
Yeah,
It's not out of the realm of possibility, and that's
considering we have like less than 50 subscribers, if someone slightly managed to find our channel, became obsessed with us, found out what gig we're going
well,
to,
okay, okay. Well, I
recognized us
wouldn't
from the voice, that is the chances of there being like, oh my
again.
god, it's Nate Pepper from the Cultured Boys.
I
Oh my
don't
god, like
I don't want
it's
to be that guy, but
yeah.
you can never be too sure, and you can
I
never be
mean, I
too
could
safe.
I admire the caution. I do admire the caution, and I respect it. But going back to what I was saying, we'll leave that for now. But yeah, like having so many different gigs, but I don't think I'm seeing as many gigs as I thought I would do in the space of this year. And I don't think I've well, basically since COVID happened, obviously no one was seeing live music, no one was seeing live shows at all. And it
Yes.
occurred to me today that I have like booked about 7 or 8 different live
Oh my
shows to
god.
see this year. Half of them are in London, some of them up north. But like so I'm gonna be. I said to myself, "Oh, I'm not going to travel down to London as much. It's too expensive, like trains or whatever, driving." And then here I am, like, I'm gonna get this show, and I'm gonna book this show, and I'm gonna book this show, and now I'm suddenly like, I'm in London a lot more than I thought I was gonna be. So yes, I've got a fair few. I think I've got one. I got one up here in June, then one in July, another one in July. There's so much going on. There's so much going on right now.
That's
Um,
hilarious to hear from someone who
mhm.
literally just said, "I don't have the money or the time
I
to
just end up
go
finding
places."
like it's one of those things, right? That like it's suddenly like, oh, it'd be a shame if I missed out on that. So I went and booked stuff, and then like there's certain things like certain groups that I'm seeing like they're doing like unique world tours and stuff like world tours they'd never actually even done before. So I'm like, well, this is like it's if the tickets are cheap enough, which usually like the tickets I've bought for certain shows, it's fine. Like I can say like I'm not going to say which show, but I don't know if you've ever watched the comedy group Auntie Donna at all.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so they're like an Australian comedy trio, like very much. I feel like they started on YouTube. I That's my instinct to say they started because they upload a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Okay.
But like they're I reckon if you watch it, Nathan, you wouldn't like this. I think this would be too random for you. Like, I think I want to kind of put it in the same league as. It's not as random as Japanese comedy, but it is just so freaking stupid. The closest thing I could probably compare it to is maybe like the Mighty Boosh.
Oh, okay, yeah, I sort of only half liked the Mighty Boosh. I didn't really
Yeah.
understand what was going on.
Oh, it's one of those things. I remember first watching the Mighty Boosh when I was like about 14, 15. And I was like, "This is stupid, I don't get it." And then I hit, like, 18, 19. I'm like, "Oh, this is actually quite good, I enjoy this." I think the time that I watched it, I didn't appreciate it, and then I watched it a bit later on in life, and I was like, "Oh, this is quite good." But Auntie Donna is yeah, it's comedy, it's wacky, it's stupid fun, and, like, it's offbeat, and I think it's good comedy. But yeah, they're touring in the UK this year, so I managed to get myself a ticket for them, and I'm excited to see that.
See, there was a bunch of shows that I wanted to go to, but
Yeah. What ones are
I
you
I
booked again?
actually didn't
Or
have the
which one?
money to like similar to that. Like the Game Grumps are doing a UK, well, not a UK, they're doing a world tour,
Oh
and they've got
yeah.
some UK shows,
Mm.
and I wanted to go because I was like, oh, dude, that'd be really cool. But then their only like UK show that I could go to, I think, is in Manchester, and I was like,
Yeah.
ah, fuck, that's too much. That was way too much. I didn't even bother looking at tickets because I was just
Yeah.
like, nah,
I'm
that's too much
surprised
right
you
now.
didn't hit up a friend of the show, what was it? Matt.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just because whilst Pepe says he doesn't have the money, and then he's like, "Oh, I booked so much," I actually don't now have the money.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get into it before, like all this time. Like, I was being cryptic and stuff. Basically, I quit my job. Okay, I don't
Mhm.
have money. I just don't have money
Yeah, yeah.
now. I don't have any source of income anymore, so
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm pursuing other things, and they're not making income yet. But
Okay, yeah, yeah.
basically, yeah, I quit my actual day job, and I don't make money, so I actually can't. That being said, yes, okay, I still booked that gig we're going to,
Yeah, yeah.
but that was because I was like, "It's not that pricey. It's really
Yes.
not that bad considering," and, it's a band that I like or we like,
Mhm.
so, yeah,
Mhm.
why not? But, yeah,
Yeah.
I shouldn't
I
have bought
think
that ticket either, to be
but
fair.
that's my thinking about it as well. Like a majority of the tickets I have booked to see this year and the tours I have booked, they're less than 40 quid. Each one is less than 40. So like I think there's only
Oh, that's not
one.
too bad
I
then,
think the
like,
only one that I've spent a bit more on is Fallout Boy. I've booked to see them this year. And I didn't book them straight away because I thought it was too pricey to go see them.
fair.
Because it is very. I think I remember when the tickets came out, they were like about 100 quid.
Ooh,
And I was like, "Fucking hell, I do not have the money to do this right now." This is in the midst of like when I still hadn't gone to America yet. There was still a whole bunch of things I had to buy, um, for various other events as well. And I was like, "I can't afford this right now," so I left it. And then I got paid in March. I think it must have been March. It must have been April time.
okay.
I think it was 100% March. And then I was like, I suddenly have money to go see Fallout Boy now. I'm gonna buy a Fallout Boy ticket. Guess I spent money on a Fallout Boy ticket basically. But for those who don't know, Fallout Boy are actually one of my favorite bands. So
Yes, this is true.
so this is one thing I can kind of like internally be like, I don't mind spending money on this because they
Well,
are
because
my favorite band, and
what
I've
that's
got
the
like
thing, in it.
yeah.
It's the money versus the experience, and it's
Yes,
like you can earn the money back, but if you miss the opportunity to go see them live, then
100%.
you can't
See,
get that
this
back.
is one thing. Last time I saw Fall Out Boy live was in 2009, I think it was.
Wow, that's
And
quite a long
that
time
was in
ago.
the O2 Arena as well, funny enough. But I remember when I saw them then, and then I booked to see the Hella Mega Tour, which was Fall Out Boy, Green Day, and Weezer touring together, and that so happened to be last year. And I fucking missed that because I was stuck in America. I was genuinely, absolutely heartbroken the fact that I missed that.
Oh,
And that was like that was when I was supposed to see Fall Out Boy live again because I hadn't seen him in a while. And those are the ones I was most hyped for. I do like Green Day, I do like Weezer, but they're not like up there. I wouldn't spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds to go see them. Fall Out Boy, I would. Um, And then that kind of played into my mind a little bit as well. Like I missed out on Fall Out Boy last year. I kind of deserved to see it this year. And also their last album that they released in 2018. They toured with that, and I didn't go see that. I was like, no, I won't see it. It's fine. I've seen them before. And now I'm like, I kind of want to see Fall Out Boy live again. Like, it's going to be a good vibe, I'm sure. And the album's quite good, this one. So yeah, I like you said, it's the experience kind of thing. Like that is the most expensive one I've bought. Fall Out Boy is the most expensive, and
Yeah, see,
then
but I can understand that again because it's like the where you can earn the money back
yeah,
versus like losing out on the chance to go and see it,
yeah,
which is kind of why even though I don't fall under the category of I'll definitely make the money back, that's why I still bought that ticket to go and see
yeah. It's a good
that band with
experience.
you, like because
We've seen One OK Rock. Well, fuck. Okay, just
well, I guess we've
yeah.
I guess it's out now. Might as well just continue then. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there we go. We were hiding it we were so fucking cryptic.
yeah, and
Literally
you
spent a
ruined
whole
it.
15 minutes. It's fine. We'll go and see One OK. If anyone manages to see us there, recognize us from our voice, fair play to you. Here, have a
Yeah.
fucking
To be
prize. I
fair,
don't
to
care.
be fair,
Yeah.
if you do recognize our voices from that, amidst all the music and everything, good on you.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fine. It's realistic. Yeah, we're gonna see One OK Rock after all
I
that
don't know how
cryptic
we'll
shit.
react if that happens, but honestly, like
I
I don't
don't know
know.
either. That is a lot. But anyway, yeah, we're going to see One OK Rock. And we've seen him live before. That was in
Yeah,
2017.
and that was for a really good album.
Yeah.
Like Ambitions
Ambitions was,
was
I love the
such a
Ambitions
good
album. It's a
album,
very good album.
and the new album, the current album, is like pretty good too. I forget its
Ooh.
name though. That's the funny thing.
God, I know the one after is Eye of the Storm.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
that was awful.
Some Luxury Disease? Luxury Disease,
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
it is. I think it's luxury disease. Basically, like that's why I was willing to book the ticket because I was like, if it's got luxury disease in it, which it should because it's the
Yeah.
latest stuff, then I'm like, I kind of don't want to miss that though because there's quite a few songs on there that I really like.
Yeah.
So, and I put them on the same level as like Ambitions.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't want to miss the chance to see that. Whilst I say I'm not earning money, doesn't mean that I didn't work like crazy to earn money before that.
Mm.
So I was like, I still got some. I can, I could do that.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with treating yourself every now and then as well. Just because you don't like, just because you don't earn money right now doesn't mean you can't stop yourself from having a good time every now and then.
I mean,
Um,
that is true, but at the same
yeah.
time,
I mean, as long as you ain't like be like, yeah, okay, every freaking weekend, let's go.
I mean, you know me,
Hmm.
I can be a bit impulsive sometimes. So
It is what it is. Sometimes it's just like, well, I want to go to these things. It's fine. I don't think
I don't.
I wouldn't be beating myself up about it. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I won't be beating myself up about this ticket,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm like, it's got to
Mhm.
be a little more conscious. I don't know.
Yeah,
Get
I
a bit
get that.
spend heavy at times. So
Yeah.
it's,
But that's one thing as well. They won't just be playing stuff from Luxury Disease. They'll play like a bunch of stuff from like
well,
Ambitions
I
as
don't mean
well, and
like
like all their old classic stuff as
they
well.
I'd hope it's not just luxury
Yeah.
disease. Otherwise, that really isn't worth the ticket price.
No, I
Like for
mean
one album, like
it's a divisive thing. This is one thing because it depends on how much people value that album. Because I saw Paolo Nutini last year, and he is spectacular live. He's really good. But I think a lot of people had the criticism that he only played like 2 or 3 songs that weren't off of his latest album. I think some people are kind of disappointed by that because obviously, if you're a long time fan, you do expect to maybe hear like a couple older songs as well, you know?
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the fact that it is one OK Rock. So
Hmm.
I feel like over here, or at least like in the West, whilst big fans would definitely have listened to probably all of the albums they could,
Hmm.
I just feel like at the same time I'm like I like maybe a quarter of the new album, a quarter or a third. So I'm like, personally, I'll hear if I hear my favorite songs from the new album, that's great.
Hmm.
But then I'm like, that's only like 3 or 4 songs. Then
Hmm.
I've just like, so what? I paid for 3 songs, 4 songs. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I will say this: as much as it sounds like I'm complaining,
Hmm.
I know that those songs will be amazing because they were so good live. They are amazing live. So
I think bear in mind as well that like even though that you might not like every song of Luxury Disease, say if they did play it, it's still gonna be good. You know for a fact these are a solid band live.
Oh,
Uh,
dude, it
yeah,
would be so hype.
and I think even when they play songs that you aren't actually a fan of, they will still be good. This is the one
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
Like
they
so,
killed it, like, when we saw them last time, they killed it. So there were songs that we didn't recognize because
yeah,
they were, like, maybe some older songs or something
exactly.
that
Yeah.
I don't listen to as much. They were still hype as.
Mhm.
Like, as soon as, like, I hear fucking "Save Yourself," I'm gonna be so hyped.
Save Yourself is a good one. I like that one. Neon is one of my favorites. I like Neon. Hopefully they play that. That's one thing because I like Gravity as well with the lead singer
Yeah,
of Official Danism, I think it is. Um,
official Danism, Hige Danism or
Hige,
something like that.
yeah, Official Hige Danism. Yes, that's it. Yeah, yeah, they're quite good. They've done a few anime openings as well, so it's like,
Or, even the opening song for Sonic Frontiers, like,
yeah, I forgot that. Yeah,
I actually really like that one too.
I isn't it Vandalize or something like that, or is
Yeah,
that
Vandalize, like,
yeah,
Vandalize
yeah.
is really good too, like,
Yeah, okay. I do remember that one actually. That is quite good. Yeah, I think it'll be good regardless of whatever goes on. Like, for the fact.
yeah, there's quite a few in
Yeah.
there that I like, so I'm just hyped because I haven't seen them for quite a while as well.
Yeah, it has literally been 2017, so
It was
6 years,
literally like
6 years.
we saw them just before we went to Japan, and then COVID hit pretty much.
Yeah,
Like, we saw them before we went Japan, then we went Japan, then we came back, then COVID,
it
and
would
it's
it
like,
was end of 2017. That's when we saw him.
jeez,
So
man.
it was even like a whole year before we went to Japan. It was it's quite a lot of time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, like,
Mm.
it feels like long enough that I'm like, I
Yeah,
remember having a
exactly.
good time, and I remember them being great live,
hmm
and that's why I was like, "Cool, Pepe's going, so I'm just gonna buy a ticket."
Yeah, I feel like they toured with Eye of the Storm as well because that came
Yeah,
out
but
in
I
2019.
definitely would not have
I
bought a
don't
ticket for
think
that.
I think that was a reason why we didn't really go because we neither of us were really a fan of that album. So I think none of us were like, I think we all skipped that.
Yeah, I don't blame anyone for skipping that. It's not a strong album by any
Yeah,
means.
I think it's where like obviously Ambitions did really good, and then I think they tried to go a bit more like targeted to the West. I think that's the one thing when
I think it got too, like, normie Western.
yes, this is my one thing when a
It's
Japanese group
yeah,
does get a little bit bigger. Like, they kinda start making music which is like, "Oh, the Westerners might like this a bit more," and then it turns into a bit too poppy for me. Like, Sekai no Owari, like, End of the World, they had, like, a great, like, album like, great few albums of their Japanese stuff, and then, like, they slowly started to make collaborations with Western artists, and they were good, but then they released like pretty much like what felt like a whole album, like of just
oh,
like
okay.
targeted to Westerners, and it just didn't really like hit the same as what they used to do. And they also rebranded from Sekai no Orari to End of the World. Obviously, just translate their name basically.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of fell flat a little bit. It just didn't. It didn't feel like the Sekai Orari that I like fell in love with. Uh,
Yeah, I completely understand that.
But again, this is the one thing as well. I don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, I like the older stuff. Because realistically, like when it comes down to music and artists, if they kept on putting out the same kind of music every album, you'd be like, this is the same thing as the last album. There's nothing too different here. It's like I'm not really that excited about it. Like I prefer an artist to try something different and be like, okay, that didn't work. Let's move on. Than an artist that keeps on putting out the same type of music every single time and expect to be as big as the last stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a trouble. I think that's the struggle that any artist would come up against when releasing like another album.
I
Like,
mean, I guess that's just, like, in life in general, innit? Like,
hmm,
in terms of, like, the music and whatever, you have to take the highs with the lows
yeah, absolutely.
because you don't really appreciate the good stuff as much because there isn't any, like, I don't wanna say shit, but you know what I mean? Like, there's not stuff that you don't like, so then you
Mhm.
can't compare it and be like, "Oh, man, they are getting better," or, "They are getting what," you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly, yeah. I think that's the one thing as well. Like, I think let's put it in terms of Fallout Boy, for example. Their first album, Under a Cork Tree, which is the one that had Dance Dance on it, like what was it? God, Sugar We're Going Down, all those sort of ones. That was proper like scene kid emo music. Like that was like the thing that Fall Out Boy were famous for. And then they put out the next album, which is the same kind of line, a little bit different. And then their third album, Folie à Deux, well, it wasn't their third, it's technically their fourth. But like that one kind of felt a little bit samey to some people, or didn't go as like emo as it was before. And some people fell off it then, and then they came back like years later, and it was a different kind of tone to them, and they were less emo. But like, so some people are like, oh, it's not the same group that we fell in love with. And realistically, if they came back and started playing the same stuff, it'd be like, why? Like, I mean, you're keeping the same fans, but you're not really getting any new fans from that. Like,
Yeah.
like I think it's a struggle that you got to do. It's either you make the same stuff or you put new stuff out. I always appreciate an artist that tries something new.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it too because, like, thinking about it, that's why I fell off of, Asian Kung Fu Generation. It's
Yeah,
because like, album after album, it pretty much minus 1 or 2 songs here or there, right?
yeah,
Pretty much it all you could listen to almost all of it, and it sound almost the same, and you just sort of like,
yeah.
"Oh, I don't need to listen to it. I don't know," because like, does it matter what they're saying? It all sounds the same sort of like indie
Exactly, yeah.
drony rock Japanese rock music, so it's just kinda, eh.
And like, if you can, if it's all gonna sound the same, why would you listen to the new same music when you can have the song that you know that you love, and it's be like, I prefer that one because like I have like certain attachments to it. I have feelings to
Yeah.
those songs back then. Why would I listen to this new song which sounds exactly the same, but like I don't have those feelings for it because it's new? I'd rather just listen to the old song. I think that's the problem that I have with it. I feel what again, one of my favorite groups, Japanese groups, was it Magic of Life, which used to be Dirty Old Men.
God,
I know, right?
forgot about that.
They produced music like back in 2014, like songs that I absolutely fell in love with. I was like, this is amazing. And then slowly but surely, they did release new music, but a lot of it did sound the same, especially for me that who doesn't understand Japanese, but I love the music. Like, it got to a point where I was like, yeah, sure, they're putting out songs, but they
But
do
you can't
kind
tell
of
the
just
difference, like
I can't tell the difference. Yeah. Like, I can only be like, oh, I remember this song, but like I don't know what name of it is. What the fuck is
yeah.
it? And then you just get lost in it. It's
Well,
like you
either that
said,
or you
yeah.
know when you, you would, like, sit and listen to an album all at once,
Yeah.
and you can't tell the difference between one song
Yes,
starting and one ending, and you're just
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
"Wow, this is a really long song." It's like, "No, you listen to 4."
Yeah.
You're like, "What?"
Yeah, I think that was the problem that I think I had with Eye of the Storm. I think that kind of fell into that kind of thing a little bit. I think a lot of those tracks did feel the same.
Well, Eye
Um,
of the Storm, it just felt like generic pop music to me.
yeah,
Like, it felt
yeah,
almost like royalty-free stuff, you know? Like, you could hear it in any old shop and it sort of wouldn't be that offensive, and there's nothing offensive
yeah.
in any way, like, it doesn't make you think anything. Literally, it's just there to be there.
A lot of it felt like it. Like I think there's the English. A lot of it was English version as well. From what I remember, and for me, it kind of felt like, oh, let's try and go down like a Coldplay route or something like that. Like that's the thing that I compared it to first. It feels way too pop rocky for me. Like I prefer Run
Fair.
OK Rock when they came through with their like actual genuine like rock stuff. Like, but yeah,
I mean, that's why Luxury Disease is good, isn't it? Because it's kinda like a return to form.
the fact they put out Save Yourself first from that album, like it kind of set the tone for it a little bit. I
Yeah,
think
that was a
like
really strong song to start
yeah,
off with.
yeah. That was released about a year ago as well.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because the album came out in September, but Save Yourself came out like way before.
Like, I guess that makes sense because then you do release a couple of singles in the album and then the tour and stuff like yeah, make timeline checks out.
Yeah, a lot of gigs coming up for me as well. Like, going back to what we said, but yeah, like exciting, a lot of money, a lot of travel. But if I didn't spend the money on it, I'd be worried about that I missed out. So I'm not regretting my purchases.
Fair, fair.
Yeah, it is like what you said as well. Like, I feel like my spending a lot of money is very different to what other people class as spending a lot of money. Or like, because, like you said, like I say, oh yeah, I'm spending too much or whatever, but that's obviously in terms of like how I perceive it. Whereas compared to you, obviously, it's a very different kind of vibe. You know what I mean? And that,
Yeah.
when you mentioned earlier, it's like, oh yeah, when Pepe says he's spending too much money or like he doesn't have the money for it, like I realized then I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I am coming off a bit like, oh no, I'm poor or whatever. But realistically, no, I have the money to do so. I
I
just
mean,
don't like
like,
spending that much. That's the problem that I'm having.
I did
Yeah.
I didn't intentionally make you like, I didn't intend to make you feel bad
No,
by any
no, no,
means,
no, no,
but
no.
also, like,
But like, that's what it kind of come across with. But I
dude,
realized, like,
everyone
oh
does it
shit,
though.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone does it though. Even when I did earn money, like,
Hmm.
and even when I do have money, I often tell people I can't do it. I ain't got the money to spend. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just do it so you don't end up like spending money on something you don't
yeah.
have to spend
That's
money
it.
on. You know what I mean?
You know what your limits are. That's one thing. I think it's a good thing to be like, oh shit, I'm spending too much money, or know when you're spending too much, because you have an idea of how much you have. And then like, it'd be worse off if you were like, I'm not spending too much money. Nah, don't be silly when you are literally bankrupt. Like,
Yeah,
I think I'd rather be like, oh shit, I'm spending too much and be cautious of my funds rather than, oh no, I don't give a shit. And then literally just throwing away money. Yeah. Like,
because then at least you'd have something when you need it, right? But
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
I've I've used the excuse of not having money for much sillier things than actually trying to save. It's just to be antisocial, like,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
introversy. I think I
Yeah.
talked about it before, like in the
Most
introvert
likely. Yeah.
episode, right? I used to say I don't have any money so that I didn't have to go out because I just
Yeah.
didn't feel like going out to be
Yeah.
social.
That's fair. Yeah.
I had the money for it and I easily could have gone. I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I
That's
feel
fair.
like it's easier to use that as an excuse than to tell people like, no, I don't want to hang out.
Yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
it's like, brings up questions
Hmm. That's fair,
and
man. That's fair.
awkward questions. But yeah, no, like, it's such a common thing though. But yeah, I mean, if you got it, who cares, isn't it?
I
Like,
think, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, spend your money on how you want to spend. If you've earned that money, fuck it, spend it however you want to spend it. as,
yeah,
as long as it ain't hurting no one. Like, that's one thing.
yeah. As long as you're
Yeah.
not hurting
Yeah.
anybody, including yourself, who
Yes.
cares really? You
Yeah.
put in
Yeah.
the hard graft for the money. You do what
Yeah.
you want
No,
with
as
it.
long as you ain't getting scammed. Like, as long as you're careful about your funds, like, yeah, like, make sure you ain't getting scammed. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
I
Like,
mean, don't get scammed, obviously, but you're responsible for whatever you do, innit? Like,
yeah, be cautious.
don't use my words as a excuse to do things. Okay, I'm not a role model, and I am not. I am not
I feel
someone
like that's a
in a
line in
position of
itself.
power like that.
Don't use my words to excuse things. Get that on
It's
a
true though.
t-shirt.
Like some
Yeah,
people will be
yeah,
like, "Oh, this." Again, I'm not being big headed, but whatever.
yeah.
Like, much more famous people could say something like that, and someone would hear it and go like, "Oh, so and so who's really famous and rich and whatever said that I'm responsible for my own things. So I'll do whatever I want." It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, yeah, like just well, this is one thing. It's what you hear on social media and then how you perceive it, basically. Like, just don't, just live your life how you should, how you want to live your life in a very a fine manner, like as a
Reasonable and
within
responsible manner.
yes, a reasonable, responsible manner. Like, obviously, everyone's got different guidelines on what reasonable and responsible is. However, as long as you're happy with how you're living it, as long as you ain't hurting no one, fucking live your life how the fuck you want to live your life, man. I ain't gonna tell you how to live your life. If you don't want to be
Well,
responsible, fuck it. Do what you want, man.
I love that you're
Don't blame
like,
me.
I love that you're like, I'm not going to tell you how you live your life. And we're just like, live your life in a happy but reasonable and
Yeah.
responsible way without hurting other people. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life,
Yeah,
but I
man,
am going to
this is
tell
one
you.
thing. I'm getting the message confused now. Look, I don't give a shit how you live your life, bro. As long as you ain't hurting me, there we go. Live out how the fuck you want to live your life.
Okay.
Don't hurt me.
Okay.
Don't hurt anyone like that.
I
There we
f-
go. I
yeah,
don't give
I
a
was gonna
fuck.
say, if we really had to give, if we really had to give one piece of advice, just not hurt people, other people, and like whatever. You know what I mean? Like yourself, other
Yeah,
people. Just be nice.
there we go. Just if you take anything away from this episode, don't hurt people. A basic human skill, please.
It's surprising how many people would actually need to hear that.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing as well. People are like they'll be like, I'm not hurting someone, well, actively hurting someone. They don't even know the fuck
Yeah,
they're
innit?
doing. Some people are so fucking like messed up, and like their perception of, oh, what hurt is It's completely different. Like hurting people
Honestly,
might
that's the craziest thing.
that's the one thing. Like, there's people out there, right, that are like, "Oh yeah, hurting people. That's just physically." Like, I live my life, and then like they don't perceive that fucking hell they're like an absolute mental strain on people's lives. Like
Yeah.
they're
Or an
like they,
emotional strain, you know what I mean? Like, you're
yeah.
doing things, like, that can't be seen. You can't
Yeah,
see
it's
the
like
damage.
that's the one thing, man. There's like all sorts of different hurt you can do that people don't understand, man. We're getting too deep, bruv. I don't want to get into emotional pain right now.
Look, you brought it this way. I
I
was just
did bring it
continuing the
this way.
conversation.
Look, just I don't. I'm gonna stop telling people how to live their lives. I'm no point a person that should be telling
I
people
was
how to
gonna
live
say,
this.
we are
We've gone too
woefully
deep. We've gone too deep.
underqualified.
Absolutely. Okay, look, if you're learning how to live your life from a channel with less than 50 subscribers, get your
Well,
fucking life
not
together, man.
not
Get
just
a
that.
grip.
Under 50 subscribers and 2 idiots from fuck knows where, right? Did you just
Yeah.
started talking already talk to each other, but now
Don't,
recording, like, that's not
don't,
role models, okay?
don't live your life by listening to YouTubers, bro.
We're
Any
we
YouTuber, man.
yeah.
Don't listen to YouTubers on how to live your life. Live
Don't
your life like.
don't but also, just mainly, I want that this out there.
Oh my
We are
fucking
not role
god.
models,
No,
okay?
no, yeah. I never. Okay, look, this is one thing as well, right? People idolize like YouTubers and like celebrities and stuff like that, and they have them as role models. I've never understood this. I've never, I never idolized someone that I've never met before. Like, but people do that, you know. That's one thing that I always found quite crazy.
I mean, I'm more of a weeb, so I idolize,
Yeah.
like, 2D characters more than I've done real people.
Yeah. And
Like,
that's through storytelling, though. I feel like you can idolize a character through storytelling. That's a fictional person. I've never understood like celebrity culture. You know where people go to like meet and greets and stuff like that, and like
I mean, I wouldn't say I idolize, but I almost a long time ago,
Mhm,
some of my favorite YouTubers were like come in over here for the first
mhm,
time,
yeah,
and they were gonna hold a meet and greet,
mhm,
like just a public one out in public space. It wasn't like, oh, come to the convention center or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And I was actually gonna go. I didn't idolize them like, oh my god,
mhm,
you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, it'd be cool
That's it.
if I could go and meet
Yeah.
them, you know, like just tell them I appreciate their videos and stuff, you know, like the effort they put
Yeah.
in, and then like maybe a handshake or a photo or something.
Mhm.
That was it. I wasn't going there because I was like, oh, I'm going to see my absolute hero, like this god of a
Yeah.
person. Like, so I wouldn't say I idolize, but I kind of understand the wanting to meet. But I guess I would say I respected them rather than idolized.
That's the one thing. That's what I'm getting at. Because I don't mind taking a photo. Like if I saw a celebrity that I was like, oh, they're quite cool. I like their stuff. I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I'd be like, oh, can I get a photo or whatever? Or like I'd be like you said, like tell them how much I admire their work. Um, like, but I've never like I don't think I've ever enjoyed the idea of queuing up to meet someone, like, or anything like that, because it feels like way too much effort that I like for someone that I've never met before. Get I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like a celebrity, for example, that oh my god, I can queue up like for an hour or whatever, or pay money to get a photo with a celebrity. I've never understood it. Like,
Yeah, me neither, to be fair.
yeah,
Like, you know, like Comic Con and stuff, I've never done
yeah,
that either. And there've been voice actors and stuff, but I've never
yeah,
been
yeah,
like, oh yeah, I'm paying the £50 to go and
yeah.
just ask them to take a selfie with me and get an
That's it.
autograph. Like,
Yeah.
I'd never cared like that.
Yeah, I think the only time I've ever wanted to do it, I think I've probably mentioned this before actually, is like MCM Comic Con. Like Tomska always used to make a little appearance. A guy from Astef movies, and like he used to be quite big as a YouTuber back in the day. Like the only time I've ever really wanted to like meet someone, like because I knew for a fact that he'd always be at Comic Cons, and I got one of the Astef movie like books at one point. I was like, oh, it'd
Fair.
be cool if I could get that signed by him or whatever. I might do that one time. But I went to multiple Comic Cons back in the day, like 10 years ago, and I never once was like, oh, go on, then I'll get in the queue and do that. I'd be like, That'd be cool if I did that, but I don't really want to right now. And that's the one
See,
thing, that's the driving force in it. Like, if you don't really want to queue up and you don't really want to put the effort in, do you really want to,
no,
like,
you don't,
no,
because I
that's
did
it.
the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the same YouTubers then a couple years later went to a Comic Con, and I was going that year,
Mhm.
and they weren't even asking you to pay. All you had to
No,
do was
that's it.
line up.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had they had a booth, and all I had to do was line up. I could have
Mhm.
gone for a selfie and a handshake, but I was like, I can't be asked to line up. That was
That's
it.
it. Yeah. It's
I just couldn't be
like,
bothered.
I don't. What am I gonna do with like a signature kind of thing? And like,
Well, it's
yeah,
funny
it
you
just.
mentioned that because like
Mhm.
at a Comic Con, I do have a signed poster, but I don't know who this person was, and I didn't know I was in line for a thing.
All
I
right.
just walked up to this booth, and they had like a Saint Seiya poster,
Oh
and
yeah.
I looked at it and I went, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Yeah. Yeah.
Next thing I know, some guy, Japanese guy, walks up,
Mhm.
starts shaking our hand and saying thank you, and then signs it with a Sharpie.
That's quite cool.
Turns out it was for some Saint Seiya game that was coming out, and that was the producer for the game or something.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Didn't know I was the second person in line. I just walked up because I
Yeah.
wanted a poster.
Oh wow.
I thought they were just giving them away. They
Yeah.
were. I didn't pay for it,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
he
yeah. That's
thought I
it.
was
Yeah.
like an actual fan. I still haven't seen any Saint Seiya anything. I just think Saint Seiya looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
That's
quite
it.
low key quite surprised that you haven't got into it because it is kind of like that 80s style, like
Yeah,
fighting kind of
it's
thing.
something I do want to get into, and with all the
Mm.
newer Netflix stuff that's come out for it, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do want to watch it, but I also it's one of those where I'm like I have no idea where to begin because it's been out for so long, and I don't know which of these new ones are maybe from the beginning or partway through. You know what I mean? Like you got to do a bit of research, and I'd rather just be able to be like, oh, put it on. That's the beginning, done.
I get you. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's quite cool about the poster, man. Like, I
Yeah,
feel.
I still have it, but it's funny every time I look at it because I'm like, I still don't know who that was.
It's just got a random signature.
Yeah, like I'm looking at it right now. It's like on the wall next to me.
One of the things that like I found a little bit like quite sad, well, I think it was one of the last Comic Cons I went to, or like it might have been one before. Do you ever remember Storage Hunters at all? That show,
Yeah,
yeah. You remember Sean, the guy that used to do the auctions?
yeah.
He was at one of the Comic Cons that I last went to, and I remember walking through, they had all the booths about and everything. And I was looking, and it was like, oh, look, that's Sean from Storage Hunters. And he is sat at the desk, right? And there was no one queuing for him. And he was sat there. I made eye contact with him. I was like, that's Sean from Storage Hunters. He looked back at me, smiled, and I fucking walked off. I didn't. There was no queue. There was no queue, man. I felt so bad, because
That's I mean, I would feel bad too, but that's so funny.
yeah,
That's
because
you got the poor guy's hopes up that someone was going to talk to
I
him.
think I felt
Oh
so
my
much
god.
worse because there was no queue, and I could have easily just got up and said, "Hey, nice to meet you, Sean. I've seen you from Storage Hunt." I just looked at him from about, what was it, like 16 foot away, made eye contact with the guy. I was like, "Hey, it's that guy." It's fucked up.
Oh
I felt
god.
so bad. I don't know, like oh man, like I would have thought he would have had a bigger line though. Like, let's say
I
Storage
don't think
Hunters is
so.
still like, but think about it. Like last time we went, was it 7 years ago? Like 8 years ago.
I don't remember. I actually don't remember. Saint Seiya poster might have been the last time I went.
Yeah, like either way, like it's one of those ones where like Storage Hunters was still kind of big about 10 years ago. It was still
Yeah.
right now it's very much irrelevant. Like no one really watches it these days. I would be surprised if you do. No offense.
I'm still trying
But
to figure out technically which one it is because there were so many of those kind of shows
yeah,
that I'm like, oh, they were all storage something or
yeah.
hunter something or
It was
wars this. I'm like,
yeah.
which one is it?
Storage Hunters was been is like the one where like it's the really tiny garages, and like in
That
America
still
like that.
doesn't help.
Yeah. Either way,
It still doesn't help.
there'll be
But
pictures. There'll be pictures.
yeah,
You'll recognize it when you watch this episode back.
yeah, I'm
Like,
sure if I see it, I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know
it's
that.
that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Or you might just be like, oh, no, oh, I thought I knew what he was talking about, but turns out not.
Yeah, probably either or.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that is like I've also seen like other people at like cons. I've walked past Warwick Davis before. Seen him.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was like one of the first ones I went to. Like that was like before it was like big. You know, like before it
Yeah,
was just MCM,
before it
not MCM
exploded,
Comic
and it
Con.
was like
Yeah.
before nerd culture was like cool again.
Yeah. It was like kind of like where it was easier to walk about. But
Yeah,
then like and like Warwick Davis wasn't even sat like in like a big, you know, like they have areas now to do the meet and
yeah.
greets. Like he wasn't even sat in like a meet and greet area. It was like in a random booth in the middle of the con.
Oh
Like
wow.
he was just there, like, and I literally like I've I have to see if I can actually find a picture. But like I was just walking past at one point. I was like, oh, that's Warwick Davis signing stuff. And there was a queue and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's quite cool. And then I just walked like didn't make eye contact with him this time. He didn't hear me, so that's fine. But
See,
yeah.
the only thing I think I regret from those days is
Hmm.
Masako X, the voice of Goku from Dragon Ball
Yes.
Z Abridged, used to go to MCM Comic Con,
Yeah.
and he used to hold like Dragon Ball meet and greets. And
Yeah. I saw him. I actually saw him there. And I looked
oh man,
I like, you know, when like you see someone, it's like, is that Masako X? Like it looks as, but like I was like one of those ones. I'm not gonna go up to a random person and be like, "Are you Masako X?" And be like, "No." So, but like I think like about it took me a couple hours to process. I was like, that was definitely him. You know, when you just look at it, like, okay, no,
yeah,
that was definitely Masako X. Like, especially when like you think about it, like of course he would. He would go to these kind of cons and like he'd be
yeah.
there for the whole weekend, more likely. Like, but yeah, I walked past him at one point.
Well, it's just because like I think a few years in a row I went,
Mhm.
and then I checked my phone later because a big con setting. You don't. I
Mm,
didn't want to bring my phone out too many times because like
yeah,
theft.
yeah,
And I'd go home and check Twitter, and it'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's have a meet and greet here." And I'm
yeah,
like, I was there at that time. I
yeah.
could have gone. God.
I think one of the things I would love to do. This is one thing. Like, although I meant like I don't understand the like celebrity icon kind of thing. The only thing I would love to get is remember Little Karibo who used to do Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Abridged. Like, there's times their fans have met him, and they're like, "Oh, can you record like my answer phone message or something in Marek's voice?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then like he just like basically just goes off on one like recording an answer phone message. And like in like that would be so freaking cool. That would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll respect that. But I don't think I'd ever even have the audacity to request that. I think I'd be like,
No,
oh my
I
god.
think the closest would be
So
like, could I get a picture?
yeah, that is the closest I'd ever get. I don't think I'd ever be like, oh, by the way, can you do this? Like, by the sounds of it, he probably is quite cool with it. Like,
I mean, clearly if he's done it, but like, I
yeah,
don't know how people have the balls to do that. Like some people like walk up and they just got like stacks of things like, oh, could you sign these? And
yeah,
then can this and this and this. I'm like, bro, I can't. I don't even have the courage to do
yeah,
like a single
yeah,
simple request.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes I'd be too nervous to even be like, "Oh, could I shake your hand?" Like, "Could you shake my hand?" Like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, man. I think like, have you ever watched the YouTuber Scott the Was at all?
No.
He's like kind of like a
I know
video
who he
game.
is,
Yeah.
but I've never watched his
Like he
videos.
did a live panel at one point, and like he had this like little meme on his channel like about Glover, the N64 game.
Oh, yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, yeah. And like someone bought a copy of Glover to the convention, and like just like Scott was just asking like answering questions and stuff like that. This guy comes out the crowd. He's like, "Hey Scott, I don't really have a question, but can I just give you my copy of Glover?" And Scott just looks at him like, "Why?" Like, I think like he said, "I'm not going to take it from you," but I think he gave him $1 for it or something because he felt bad just taking this guy's Glover. But
Hey, at least that's a slightly more wholesome,
yeah,
The worst thing that's happened, and it is still Comic-Con, was the
yeah.
Trash Taste podcast,
Oh
where that
right.
guy just, like basically, some guy just sort of stormed the stage,
Oh god.
sat down, sort of interacted with him,
Yeah.
or interacted, quote, unquote, it wasn't. You can read it all, like, it happened a couple
Hmm.
years ago by this
Yeah.
point,
Okay.
but, like, yeah, that was crazy.
Oh god.
That's one of those where it's like, dude, couldn't read the room, and I think he might have been drinking or something.
Yeah.
There's like a whole thing. Again, it's an old incident, and like a lot of cons had to like step up
Yeah.
after that because that was like high profile YouTubers,
Mhm.
influencers
Yeah.
that had this bad experience because stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No, that's a shame. That.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, especially because like we're like not in the same level, but like we also do like anime, manga sort of
Yeah.
podcasty stuff. So it's like
Mhm.
we're in the same sort of like category in that sense of
Yeah.
content, but not
Mhm.
on the same level because they're way bigger than us.
Absolutely not. No,
Rightfully
clearly.
so,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they've been doing
Mhm.
between them all, they've been doing this way longer than us and are way
Mhm.
better at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's like we said before. There's all sorts of people that don't realize that they're being like disrespectful or hurtful or whatever, and like you said, it could be a drink thing, and it goes back to that. It all comes around in a big circle at the end of
I didn't
the
mean it to neatful,
day.
like nicely
Yeah,
circle back round,
just
but
there we go. Respect others. There we go. Respect others. That's a good way
ugh,
of saying things.
yeah.
That's a nicer way of like. Why did I say that earlier? That would have been such a nicer way of saying
I
respect
don't know,
others.
man.
There we go. I think that is a good place to end it. I feel
Wait,
like
wait. I want to
okay.
end
Oh, okay.
just
Go, go,
on
go,
one
go, go, go,
question,
go,
one
go.
last
Yeah, go,
question,
go, go,
right?
go, go, go.
Considering the way things have gone, like
Yes.
the growth of certain conventions and stuff,
Yes. Yeah.
it used to be sort of a dream of mine to be like an invited guest,
Wow.
but I
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
think it is anymore because like there's so many people. What What about you? Do you think if it ever came to it, you would want to do that? Like,
I could do it. I'd be like, I don't think it's something that I'd be like, oh my god, like I'd love to do this. I mean, if I was ever invited, I'd be like, yeah, go on then. Like, I don't know. Again, it's that bizarre concept of like, if people are gonna show up, yeah, sure, why not? But like again, it comes back to the whole thing we've always stated on this channel is the fact that anyone even listens to us is quite a surprise to me. So like
yeah,
like for people to even show up live would be an even bigger thing. I'd be like,
that
why?
yeah.
But yeah, um,
I think that's that would be even weird. Before we even get to that point, it'd be weird just to get like
ev-
contacted to be like, "Hey, we'd like
yeah,
to." But like, why? Who's asking for
yeah.
this?
Who is asking for this? Is
Like,
exactly that.
do
Yeah.
I have to pay for my ticket? Do you know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
yeah, that's
Like,
it. Yeah.
are you
But yeah.
sure? Like, do I have to pay to go?
Yeah, but
Because I'm not that.
in short, yes, I would be very much like it'd be a pleasure to, but it's also like, are you sure?
I
That's
want to make it clear. I completely agree with that sentiment.
yeah,
Just because I said don't really like the idea of it, just because conventions are getting too big now.
yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of people. It's just a lot.
Hmm.
But like, doesn't mean that if it ever happened, I'd say no.
Yes,
Just saying.
exactly. In case at any random point that we end up blowing up, and then there's a chance. There we go. We won't say no to it. There we go.
Future proofing.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. I feel we should.
Yep. Thanks for
Oh,
listening, guys. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notified. Follow us on Twitter. Find us on podcast platforms. Links in the description, and we will catch you for the next Cultured Boys. Bye.
bye. Respect others.